Now we continue our discussion on the next topic, the principles of logistics information. As we know, logistics information system must incorporate 6 principles to meet the management information needs and adequately support the enterprise planning and operations. The first one is availability. The logistics information system must be readily and consistently available. Maybe as in the previous discussion, what we identified, the information requirements includes order and the information status or inventory status. See, the enterprises or the corporates may have substantial data regarding the logistics activities. The data are often paper-based or very difficult to review from the computer system. So, the rapid availability is necessary, which is very essential to respond to consumers and improve the management decision. So, this is critical as our consumers frequently need quick decisions or quick access to inventory and the order status information. The second principle, accuracy. Logistics information system must accurately reflect both the current status and the period actively for measuring the customer orders or even for linking the customer orders with the inventory levels. The third principle, which talks about the timeliness. So, logistics information system must be timely to provide a quick management feedback. So, timeliness, how do we refer, how do we define the delay between when the activity occurs and when the activity is visible in the information system. Say, for example, it takes hours or days for the system to recognize a new order as actual demand. So, the order is not always directly entered into the active demand database, but which has to be considered, which has to be done because that real-time database decision making requires the data has to be fed into the system on the day itself. So, information system timeliness, which refers to the system status. So, as and when, how we get updates, the system gets updated on 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock or something like that. So, the inventory levels also should get updated. And mostly it could not be on a weekly or monthly basis, it could be on a daily basis. Even in the daily, it could be on an hourly basis. So, this timely management controls this provide information when there is still time to take corrective action or minimizing the loss. So, this principle will reduce uncertainty and identify the right problem, reducing the inventory requirement and increasing the decision accuracy. The next one, exception. LIS, that is our logistics information system, must be exceptional based to highlight the problems and the opportunities. They contended with large number of customers, products, suppliers and service companies. So, for example, if you take the context of inventory status for each product location, combination must be reviewed regularly to schedule the replenishment order. And the another repetitive activity is the status review of outstanding replenishment order. So in both the cases, large number of products or replenishment orders, this require constant reviews. So the review process requires asking two questions. The first question, whether any action should be taken for product or replenishment order. Yes, if the answer is yes, you have to ask the second question, the type of action that should be taken. So this question will be seriously answered by the present logistics information system that reviews and complete the entire data manually, and which will bring into the data effect, which will increase the transparency in the transaction. So this is another principle. The next one, flexibility. Flexibility contains the capability to be flexible in order to meet the needs of our system users as well as the customers. So information system, it must be able to provide a data tailored to specific customer requirement. Say some customers may want order invoices aggregated across certain geographic or any divisional boundary. So a flexible logistics information system must be able to accommodate all types of requirements from different ends. So when the flexibility will be possible, when it will be possible, internally all the information system must be upgradable to meet the future requirement or the future information requirement. So this is the fifth principle. The next principle could be appropriate format. The logistics reports and the screen should be properly formatted, meaning that they contain the right information in the right structure and in the sequence. Okay. Say, for example, this includes a distribution center inventory status screen with one product and distribution center listed per screen. So this format, say for example, if the customer is asking the specific data, this format requires that customer service representative check the inventory status at each distribution center when attempting to locate the inventory to satisfy a specific customer order. So in each and every center, whatever the updates they are doing, which has to be communicated, which has to be considered in the information system on a real-time basis. So if there are 5 distribution centers, for example, it requires a screen with the inventory status for all the 5 distribution centers. So the combined screen makes it much easier for a customer representative to identify the best source for the product. And another example of an appropriate format is a screen or a report that contain and effectively presents all the relevant information for a decision maker. The screen or the output format, what we are talking about, which integrates the past and the future information regarding on-hand inventory, minimum inventory, and the demand forecast and the planned receipts for a single item at various distribution center. I'll present you another example also that contains and efficiently presents any quick decision making related to inventory, warehouse decision, transportation, etc. So mostly the presentation could be in a any kind of graphical format which integrate the inventory flows and the levels, facilitate the inventory planning and ordering, and the inventory level at various distribution centers where the projected on-hand inventory is higher and in which distribution center, what is the level. Everything has to be presented in an integrated format. So we started our discussion with the principles of logistics information. There are 6 basic principles: availability, accuracy. Yeah, I'm just waiting for your response. What could be the third one? The timeliness, the exception, the flexibility, and the appropriate format. I hope this will give us an understanding of what has to be considered while designing the logistics information system. Welcome, class. Today I'm just going to discuss with you on the topic logistics information system architecture. As we know, logistics information systems combine the hardware and the software to manage, to control, and measure the logistics activities. And the hardware, which includes the computers or any kind of the input and output devices and the storage media. The software includes the system and the application programs used for processing and the management control, various decision analysis based, strategic planning based applications. So this kind of architecture which gives an idea both the information base to maintain the data warehouse and the any kind of execution components. Say, for example, in the information base, in the context of logistics, could involve the purchase orders, the inventory status, and the customer orders. The data warehouse may be containing information describing the past activity level and the current status. If you look into the planning and coordination where schedule, procurement, production, and logistics resource allocation throughout the enterprise. Maybe the specific components, maybe the strategic objective, rationalization of capacity constraint, and the determination of logistics, manufacturing, and procurement requirements. The kind of operational level planning involves the transaction activities which are required to manage the process orders, the distribution facilities and operation of the facilities, the scheduled transportation, and the integrating procurement resources. So customer order, as we know, which reflects the demands placed by the enterprise customers. And the replenishment orders control the finished goods movement between the manufacturing and the distribution facilities. So in the context of this, let us start our discussion first with the planning and coordination activities. As already discussed, the logistics system planning coordination components form the information system is a kind of a backbone for any manufacturers and the merchandise. So these components define core activities that guide enterprise resource allocation and performance from the procurement to product delivery. What are the components of planning and coordination? The strategic objectives, the capacity constraints might be the logistics requirement, the manufacturing requirement, and the procurement requirements. These are all the specific components which are part of our planning. So when you look into the context of the strategic objectives, the primary information drivers for many enterprises are strategic objectives, which define their marketing and the financial goal. Any organization, of example, if you take, the primary objective of existence of any organization itself is increasing their sales and stabilizing their finance. So these strategic objectives are typically developed for a multi-year planning horizon that often includes quarterly updates. So marketing strategic objectives, when you talk about marketing strategy, the target market, the products, the marketing mix plan, and the role of logistics, value-added activities like service level or capability. All these are all part of our strategic objective decision. So the objectives based on the customer base, the breadth of the product and service, the planned promotions, and also of course the desired performance level. So all these are all part of our strategic objectives of marketing. And the marketing goals are also the customer service policies and objectives that define logistics activity and the performance target. What are the performance target when you talk about the availability? It is a service availability, the kind of capability and the quality. These are all some of the dimensions which we talk on the context of quality. Financial strategic objectives, which define the revenue, the sales, and the production levels and corresponding expenses, as well as the capital and the human resource constraint. So the combination of marketing and financial objective, which define us what conclusion you have got after having looking into this financial and the marketing goals. These two combinedly given as an idea on the market, products and the services, the activity level that the logistics manager must accommodate during the planning period. Specific goals include might be the projected annual or quarterly activity level, the shipments, the volume of data, the volume of the product you're going to ship, and the total cases. Specific events may be the product promotion, the new product introducing a new product in the market rollouts and acquisitions, etc. So in reality, marketing and financial goals should be integrated and consistent. Inconsistency will provide us a confusion while planning out the logistics. So this kind of combined integrated plan will give us a clear-cut direction for other enterprise plans. The next components of this is a capacity constraint. Capacity constraints in logistics, manufacturing and procurement requirements, all these we evolve only from the strategic objective. Yes, very good. So internal and external manufacturing, the warehousing, the transportation resources determine the capacity constraints. Say using the activity level, capacity constraints will give us material bottlenecks, that is the people, those are working in the organization. And also we need to plan effectively how to meet the market demand. For each product, the capacity constraints determine where, when, and how much for production, storage, and the movement. So these constraints consider the aggregate production and throughput limitations on an average, either you calculate it for a monthly basis. So capacity problems can be resolved by resource acquisition, that is one idea. The speculation or the postponement of the production or delivery. So capacity adjustments normally be made by acquisition or any kind of alliances with any other third-party contract manufacturing, or even can provide the facility for leasing. And the speculation reduces the bottlenecks by anticipating the production capacity requirements through prior scheduling contract or any kind of contract manufacturing. So the capacity constraints introduce the time dimensions into the enterprise strategic objective. So where we are considering now, the facility is one of your constraint. The finance is another constraint. The human resources are also a constraint. So these constraints have major influence on the plan of logistics, specifically manufacturing, procurement, and the other schedules. So capacity constraint link the enterprise aggregate operating plan to weekly or daily logistic requirement. So these constraints are the major influence on monthly or weekly production for each manufacturing location. For the long term, there is usually a substantial flexibility, since a full range of postponement or speculation acquisition strategies may be used. But in the case of a short term, such as within a current week, there is limited flexibility. The resources are generally supposed to be used. So capacity constraint integration with the remaining enterprise requirement varies across organization. So this is a point about it. The third heading related with the planning is logistics requirement. So after setting the strategic objective and the capability planning or capacity constraint, now we need to plan out our own logistics requirements. They coordinate the facility, the equipment, the labor, and the inventory resources necessary to accomplish the logistics mission. For example, the logistics requirement component schedules shipment or finished product from manufacturing plant to distribution centers or even to the retailers. So the shipment quantity is calculated as the difference between the customer requirements and the inventory level. So logistics requirements are often implemented using distribution requirement planning. We normally call it as a DRP, as an inventory management tool, or even we say it is a process control tool. Forecasts are based on sales and marketing, which provide us an input in conjunction with the historical previous year data. Based on that, we usually do the forecasting, how much sales can be possible. So the customer order include the current order, future committed orders, and the contracts. Whatever the promotional activity which we talk about in the strategic objective, remember, we also supposed to know what are the promotional activity the company is planning for logistics requirements, because a large percentage of total volume and has a large impact on the capacity. Of course, these logistics requirements also needs to have a focus on the current inventory status. For each planning period, say if we consider a weekly period or a monthly period, the sum of the forecast plus the future customer order, including the promotional volume, which normally represents the period demand. So it is not easy to determine the percentage by simply applying all the formulas. We need to do certain basic judgments based on our previous experiences. We have to make certain loyal customers needs to be considered. So typically the period demand is actually a combination of all your quantitative data decisions as well as a qualitative data based decision. So which may incorporate some kind of future orders or even some kind of promotional volume. So when you consider a period demand, where we consider what are the factors so far we have considered: the forecast, the future customer order, and the promotion, in addition the period. The period logistics requirement needs to be identified. So this is a way, a perfect coordination of demand and supply, including your marketing, financial objectives, inventory management perspective, the target market audience, the promotional activities, the time period to be, all these are all part of our logistics requirements. And this logistics requirement must also be integrated with both capacity constraints as well as manufacturing requirements to obtain an optimum system performance. So poorly integrated logistics and manufacturing components typically results in finished goods inventory. We are keeping lots and lots of finished goods where the demand is not as such, or the reverse case. You are keeping a very less inventory of finished product where the demand is higher. So we are considering under the logistics requirement, the forecast, the customer orders, the promotions, the period of demand, the inventory on the hand, and the planned receipts, that is the planned target order received from the customer, and the periodic logistics requirements. If you put all together, we will be able to get a real logistics requirements. How do we calculate? How do we identify the manufacturing requirements? Manufacturing requirements schedule production resources and attempt to resolve day-to-day capacity bottlenecks within the materials management system. So primary bottlenecks results from raw materials shortages or daily capacity limitations. Mostly the manufacturing requirements or end up with two things. One is the machine and machine related issues. The other one, materials and other related issues. So the manufacturing requirement determine the master production schedule and manufacturing requirement plan. What is our manufacturing master production plan or manufacturing requirement plan? The MPS, which provide us weekly or daily production and the machine schedule. So with that MPS, the MRP, it is requirements, coordinates the purchase and the arrival of materials and components to support the desired manufacturing plan. So this kind of integration of strategy alone will give us a clear picture of the requirements of logistics. And now we move with the next procurement requirements. So we started with strategic objectives, then inventory, then materials, and the logistics, and also discuss about the manufacturing, then procurement requirements. This procurement requirements schedule material releases, shipments, and the receipts. The procurement requirements built on capacity constraints and logistics requirements, manufacturing requirements to demonstrate the long-term material requirements and release schedules. So far we discussed the points related with the planning and coordination of logistics. Now I'm taking you to the operations part, which includes the information activities required to receive, process, and ship the customer orders to coordinate the receipt of the purchase order. Wherein we have this kind of operations management consists of certain basic components like order management, order processing, distribution operations, transportation, shipping, and procurement. So all these again are part of our operations management. Say, what is order management? We had a long time discussion, but still, it is the entry point of any organization for a customer order An inquiry. It allows the entry and maintenance of customer orders using communication technology, where the customer order can be used by simply sending a mail, phone, or through a very proper enterprise resource system. As orders and inquiries are received, the order management enters and retrieves the required information, edit for appropriate value, retain acceptable order for processing. So order management can also offer information regarding what is the available inventory, and the delivery dates needs to be combined to confirm the customer expectation. The primary order management functionality includes entry for blankets, electronic, and any kind of manual order. So this order management creates and maintains the customer and replenishment order base, which will affect the remaining operations components. This is the basic thing, basic component related with the operations part of logistics. Second one, the order processing. Order processing assigns and allocates available inventory to open the customer and replenishment order. Allocation may take place on a real-time basis as orders are received either on a real-time basis or a batch mode, where orders are grouped for periods, say 2 days, this particular order, or 2 days continuous shifts we are following this particular order. So that's a point which I'm making it very clear about the batch. While real-time allocation is more responsive, a batch process provides a more control over the situation, specifically on the inventory part. Say, for example, in the batch process, order processing it can be designed to assign a stock from current inventory only or from a scheduled production capacity. So an LIS is more responsive. It allows inventory alignment from scheduled production capacity. So this is another important thing which we need to think of. So here we should consider a trade-off between the production capacity versus the available inventory level. So the best order processing application operate interactively in conjunction with order management Banyan to generate the order solution that satisfies both the customer requirement and the enterprise resource constraint. So this type of operational environment where the customer service representative and the customer interact to determine the combination of products, quantities, and performance cycle, because certain bulk customers, they require it in a very specific period of time. So we need to consider time is also a constraint here. And when there is any conflict in the order processing, possible solutions include delivery date adjustments, product substitutes, or some kind of shipment from an alternative source, something like that. So what are the points related to the first thing? It includes inventory assignment. Yeah, I ask you to think of so far the discussion we had. What relevant points comes to your mind when we think of this specific order processing? You need to, at one end, the inventory man needs to think of inventory assignment. The back order creation and processing at the other end is happening. Order selection, the document generation and order verification. All these are all makes the entire show being a perfect show using our information system. Then distribution operations. There's also another important area under our logistics information system. It incorporates LIS functions to guide the distribution center. Physical activities, one of the physical activities, product receipt, material movement, and the storage and the order selection. So distribution operations are often termed inventory control or warehousing system. They direct all the activities within the distribution center using a batch and real-time assignments. So batch means, which we know, the LIS develops a list of instructions or the task to guide each material handle in the warehouse, right? Say a list is the handlers. What is the list we normally, what I have to do, the to-do list, right? In the real-time environment, information directed technologies, maybe when in the logistic part we are using the barcoding, the radio frequency communication, and automated handling equipment. This will make operating the LIS interactively to reduce the elapsed time between the decision and the action. When you look into the earlier stage of distribution system, where the LIS were only made focus on directing the warehouse operations and activities. Instead of our databases, and now with the help of recent information technology tools, we'll be able to relate it with all other functions of logistics. Then the next major part of operations decision always the transportation and shipping. With increased opportunity to reduce the cost through a better transport management, a contemporary logistics information system specifically focusing on the transportation and shipping functionality. So what normally we do when related to this specific function, performance monitoring, rate auditing, routing and scheduling, invoicing, reporting, and decision analysis. So we need a state-of-the-art transportation and shipping system which will incorporate the planning and performance measurement capability. The last part of this architecture, specifically under operations, concentrates on the procurement part. Procurement, which we have seen in two places. One is at the planning level also, we have to focus on the procurement. The operation level also we need to think of. Procurement manages the purchase order preparation, modification, and release in addition to tracking the vendor performance and the compliances. Say, although the performance, any kind of procurement system have not traditionally been considered part of the logistics information system, when the entire supply chain integration which connects our procurement with the logistics schedules, right? So for integrated logistics, the procurement based logistics information system must track and coordinate the receiving and shipping activities to optimize scheduling of facility, transport, and personalized resources. Say, for example, in the loading and unloading of docks are often critical facility resource, where effective procurement LIS should coordinate the use of the how to coordinate within the limited time. So, a coordinated, integrated operations of the logistics information system is clearly creating a competitiveness. It even be claimed as a competitive advantage. Coordination and integration allow a smooth and consistent customer and replenishment order information through the enterprise and offer the current order status immediately. And this information sharing reduces delay, errors, and personal requirements, whatever it is. So best practice firms are improving operational performance by integrating its operations with the logistics information system from boundaries where they are connecting suppliers, manufacturers, and the customers. Now I'm just going with the last topic, logistics information system flow. How this entire information system will look like. So whenever we talk about the schematic presentation of information system, it may consist of modules, may consist of different data files, and managing data entry operations, that is another side. Of course, it's supposed to generate reports. So this is a normal expectations of any logistics information flow. So as we know, modules are the actual routines that process data or information, entering orders or assigning inventory. The data files replace the file cabinets of the past. Reports provide information regarding the logistics activity on a real-time basis, and the performance links and communication links, both the internal and external interfaces, which will provide how effectively the LIS, that is logistics information system, could be managed. When we think of a module, it must consist of the 5 important components. One is the order entry. Then we have order processing, transportation and shipping, of course, distribution operations, and the inventory management. So all these 5 modules are necessary for making the coordinated effort of bringing a best effective LIS in organization. What kind of data files we need to keep? I mean, I'm not going into the details of sourcing, coding and all. At least we must know the basic idea of what kind of data files we supposed to keep it. Order file is separate file. Inventory and warehouse is separate file. Accounts, receivables, and the distribution related requirements. Of course, logistics and transportation. What kind of data entry activities are required? Normally, order entry is separate entry. Order inquiry is another separate system. Forecast development and reconciliation. Freight rating, logistics related issues, and warehouse receipts and adjustment. These are all normal nodes or areas where the data points, we get data from these points which needs to be feed for making up a real-time LIS. Normally, on the cost of reports, the reports normally consist of lots of numerous summary of the detail, the exceptions, listing to what kind of information is related with, maybe related to the entire range of our logistics activities, starting from manufacturing till how it reaches the customer. So at the stage of conclusion, the logistics information system, which is acting as the backbone of modern logistics operations. That's the reason we are also keeping this in the part of your Unit 1. In the past, if you look into, the infrastructure has focused on initiating and controlling activities. But today, the enterprises, to remain competitiveness, the role of information infrastructure must be extended to support or to include the requirements planning or management control based decision analysis, and this activity could be related with the extended supply chain activities also. So far what we have seen, the components of logistics information architecture, that is infrastructure. We also review the individual roles and the importance of integration of various components at the planning level, at the operation level, and the basic characteristics of logistics information system also. So many organizations are reviewing both their inter and the intra-enterprise information flow to incorporate more integration and keep the flexibility open so that the entire logistics information system will provide the better service at the minimizing cost. Thank you.